let's start from transparent, translucent and opaque object. Light can pass through in transparent object clearly. It can pass through in translucent object passively, and it cannot pass through in opaque object. So, the transparent of the object depends upon the material of the object. We also know that light travels in a straight line. So, what happens when an opaque object comes into part of the light? Here we see the boy is an opaque object who is walking under the sunlight. What do we see here? Here we see the dark side and the side of the object. This dark side is called the shadow of the object. Then how was the shadow formed? The shadow was formed when the part of the light was obstructed by an opaque object. Then the darkness was created on the side of the object. So this is shadow. Now we should understand more about the shadow. Can we see shadow when it's totally dark? No, we can see shadow when it's totally dark. So to form the shadow, source of light is required. It is only when the light rays are obstructed by an opaque object, then we get the shadow of that object. Like in the story, so now this is the flashlight, and the shadow of the toy is from on the ground. And can the transparent object create a shadow? The transparent object create a shadow? No. We know that shadow is formed when the object blocks the light, but the transparent object allows light to pass through it. So to form a shadow, an opaque object is required. This is the boys use a toy to form a shadow, and the shadow of the toy is formed on the ground. Do you ever see the shadow of a bird flying very high in the sky? No. Yes. No, you can see a shadow of a bird flying very high in the sky. Why is that? It is because the land may act as a screen, but the problem is the shadow. The problem is it is too far. Then, if the bird was flying low, then maybe we can see its shadow on the ground or on the wall nearby. So, to form a shadow, a screen behind the object is required. As you can see, the shadow of the toy is formed on the wall and on the ground behind the toy. Now let's see the characteristic of the shadow now. You are going to a party wearing a colorful of dress. Yes. But when you look at your shadow, can you see the color of your dress? No. No, we get the black shadow. Shadows are always black regardless of the color of the object used to make the shadow. Now let's see the shadow due to sunlight. Here we see the sun as the source of the light, and the boy is an opaque object who obstructs the light, and the ground is where the shadow is formed. In the morning, the shadow of the boy is longer. Now it is the noontime. The sun directly passes over the boy, and the shadow is the shortest. As the evening approaches, the sun goes down again, and the shadow becomes longer again. As you can see, the size of the shadow keeps on changing with the position of the sun. Here you can see the things that are required to form a shadow. The first thing is the source of light is required, an opaque object is required, and the screen behind the object is required. And the characteristic of the shadows are always black regardless of the color of the object used to make the shadow. So the answer why is gas can form a shadow, because the gas is the transparent object, and the transparent object can form a shadow. penumbra is where the sunlight is partially obscured. We got 4 types of the solar eclipse. The first one is the total solar eclipse. During total solar eclipse, the moon casts its umbra over the earth. Totality may last as long as 7 minutes 31 seconds. The second is the partial solar eclipse. The partial solar eclipse occurs when only the penumbra passes over you. How much the sun remains in view depends on the specific circumstances. The third is the annular solar eclipse. The annular solar eclipse is the subspecies of the partial solar eclipse, not the total. And I got a video for you. This is the time lapse of the annular solar eclipse. There we see this is the sun and this is the moon. Slowly close the sun. Then finally the moon makes the sun looks like a ring. And the moon passes over the sun again and the sun becomes normal. The last is the hybrid solar eclipse. This is the special solar eclipse and this is also called the annular total solar eclipse. The 80 eclipse starts as an annular solar eclipse, then it becomes total because the roundness of the planet reaches up and intersects the tip near the middle of the planet. And I have a question for you. For anyone who can answer my question, you get teacher letters from me. And the question is, when is the date of the total solar eclipse that occurs in Indonesia not long time ago? Result please.
9 March 2060.
That's right. Congratulations.